Hey, everybody. Let's see how this goes. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to get right into it because I got very little time. I got a lot to say. So what I want you to know is that you are more powerful than you can possibly imagine. And in the next 18 minutes, I'm going to explain why I can make such an audacious statement with such confidence. And hopefully leave you feeling more optimistic than ever about yourself and about the future. So the thing that I want to state right up front is that I don't care much for cliches. You can ask any of my students. I'm on them all the time about it. And I'm fully aware that when we study and discuss topics like consciousness, spirituality, shamanism, any of these esoteric topics, there are far too many cliches being thrown around. However, of course, there's this one, and I spent decades of my life trying to understand it. And the one is, do we create our own reality? So I'm going to ask you to bear with me for just a second here as I lean into this overused cliche and hopefully bring some clarity and some definition to this idea. Now, also, I'm a fairly pragmatic person, and I had been made to believe that reality is reality is reality, and we just have to face it. But I still had the questions, right? Like, do we really each create our own reality? Is my reality actually different from your reality? And if I could change it, how would I do that? Is there some step-by-step process that if I followed it, I could actually create real and recognizable change so that in the end I could step back and look at it and say, yes, reality is definitely different. Well, I've come to believe that there is a way to do this if we can learn to understand the dynamic mechanism of that change. And I believe we can come to that understanding through the engagement, the re-engagement with ancient wisdom, and the reintegration of ancestral knowledge into our way of perceiving the world around us. And then by using the natural forces of destruction and creation, we can undo and rid the things that are in ourselves and in our lives that are out of sync with our primary impulse, which is to create reality as opposed to just capitulate to it. And then we can begin to perceive our role in that creation as imperative and powerful. Because at every moment, the world stands at a threshold. And the Toltec, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, would view it like this. On one side, the tonal, everything that is known. And on the other side, the nawal, everything that is as yet unknown. It's the great mystery. So this is something to be understood, but definitely not feared, because this is in fact our nature. And what I'm proposing is that this situation actually allows us to fulfill our primary impulse. And our primary impulse is to create reality. I'm literally standing here, starting this talk by telling you that every life across the entire spectrum of human experience has a common purpose. And that purpose is to create reality and expand into that reality with the Creator. The next moment, the next hour, the next day, month, year, decade, lifetime. The details of each life, they're going to be exquisitely diverse. But the purpose of each life is a shared one. It's to create reality and occupy it with the Creator, and then repeat the process over and over and over again. So we should understand that we come here, we're brought here to this moment, to each moment of reality, by the choices we've made. We've collectively agreed upon and therefore caused ourselves to be in exactly the situation that we find ourselves in now. And using the current methodology, the one that most of our fellow human beings are using, we arrive at each juncture, each intersection of time and space and circumstances randomly and inefficiently. We arrive in each new moment largely distracted by what we are not and what we think we need to have, rather than what we actually are and what it is that we can be. Now, add to that mix the collective divorce from nature, natural systems, our disconnection from ancestral wisdom, and then countless generations of familial and cultural domestication. Constantly being told what to think, what to believe, what to feel, what to want, and the obscuring effect that this has had on our perceptual abilities. We are losing our connection to and our awareness of the very system that we're meant to participate in and therefore perpetuate. Now, this is a really humbling thought for me, and it also brings up some questions. So, consider what life would be like if we all relearned something that we collectively forgot. What if the information that was preserved by the wisdom keepers, the shamans, the mystics over eons, what if that information, the information regarding the primordial relationship of man to the universe at large and the universe within man, what if that information could be reintroduced in a practical form, sufficiently pragmatic and palatable for the modern world? What if we all begin to recognize that we're part of something much bigger, a larger system, one that's operating continuously in the background, but is as yet just beyond our current abilities to perceive it? What if we could learn to navigate perception in an entirely unique way so as to observe the universe around us with all levels of our being? Our physical body, our energy body, our mind, our emotions, our spirits. And what if we could do that free of unhealthy mindsets, attachments, energetic blockages? What if we could develop an extraordinary new awareness of the universe, both around us and inside us? Would we then recognize that our primary impulse is to create reality, and therefore we have a responsibility to express what it is that we can become? And in doing so, could we shape reality? Could we chart a new course for ourselves, our species, even our planet? Yes. Creating balance, promoting a state of healing and growth where change and transformation become constants? So my search for these answers has led me to two schools of thought. The first is the Toltec philosophy, and the second one is the Andean cosmovision. And the reason that these two ideological paths appeal to me is that despite their clear and obvious differences, they seem to complete each other. They're like two intricate pieces of art that when you superimpose them over each other, it elicits details and nuances that either one of them lacks on its own. In the Quechua language, this is called yantin mansasin. It's when the sum of things is greater than the perceived value of its constituent parts. So let's take a quick dive. So I first encountered Toltec philosophy. Let me see if I got a picture of this. Yeah, Toltec philosophy. I first encountered Toltec philosophy in my late teens through the works of Carlos Castaneda and a Toltec shaman and friend of mine named Red Feathers. And then in later years, I discovered other authors like Don Miguel Ruiz and Coyote the Blind, and then recently another author, the Nahual, Lujan Matus, who would become my teacher. So this philosophy is the study of the architecture of the self. Toltec philosophy contends that our perception of reality, and therefore the way we think and feel and behave, changes based on what we believe. And those belief systems are programmed into us, starting when we're just small children, and then through this process that's called domestication that continues throughout our whole life. And as we begin to challenge and overcome all the false truths that we have accepted in our lives, we grow progressively freer. It's the process of liberating oneself from the unprocessed experiences of our past that have accumulated on the lens through which we're viewing the world and our place in the world. And then clearing that lens so we can see the truth in ourselves and the truth in circumstances and situations that enter our lives. So through dismantling old, limiting beliefs, we become more open to the unlimited possibilities. It's a philosophy of liberation through evolution. My introduction to the Andean cosmovision came in the form of an invitation. Came from this guy, one of my teachers, Damjino Chakaruna, who invited me to come along with a small group of his students and apprentices on a pilgrimage deep into the heart of the Quero Nation. This is in the high Andes of Peru. And our destination was a remote village. It's called Hapu. It's at 16,600 feet above sea level. It's hidden away deep in the mountains on the shores of a high alpine lake near the sacred mountain known as Asengati, the most sacred mountain in all of the Andes. In Hapu, we lived with the families. We lived with the families there, and we studied with the Pacos. This is what the Quero people call their shamans in the indigenous Quechua language. And it was there that I met a man who had become very important in my life. His name is Taita Asensio, 85 years old. Taita Asensio, the Alto Musayuk. And this is where I first learned about the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. Prophecy of the eagle and the condor speaks of the coming together of two ways of being. The eagle, far-sighted, rational, linear, structured, and the condor, earth-connected, intuitive, wise, receptive. This prophecy is not merely a pretty story, but a moral blueprint that through the use of metaphor points us toward what is needed to create a future where all life is respected, where all life is considered sacred. Without this marriage of worldviews, the future is dim. The Quero people, since time immemorial, are wisdom keepers. They've been tasked with maintaining the daily traditions of an earth-centric life, yes, but these people are also keeping intact an extraordinary vision of the universe and man's relationship to it. This wisdom is contained in the Andean cosmovision. And it's made tangible in the chacana, the Andean cross. This symbol, woven into textiles and carved into stone, is a daily reminder for us to stay connected to the Pachamama, to live in sacred reciprocity. What the Quechua language says, Ayni, A-Y-N-I, sacred reciprocity. And this idea, this is always in the front of the consciousness of the remarkable people of the Andes. The Andean philosophy begins with the precept that all things are made of energy. Plants, animals, trees, sunlight, water, mountains, sound, inanimate objects like this building, the chair that you're sitting in, and it includes you and it includes me. We are all manifestations of energy. We are energy as form. We are all created from and filled with this life force energy. This energy we call Sami. It's high vibrational, effervescent, free-flowing energy. It's the foundation of everything. It's the omnipresent essence of everything that is. And it's also the connecting force between all living things. It's the energy of the Creator. It's the energy of the Kocha. The only other flavor of energy in the whole universe. Check this out. The only other kind of energy, it's called hucha. And hucha is only created between human beings. Two flavors, sami, hucha. Okay? So hucha is it's the energy of hate, resentment, jealousy, greed, anger. It's the energy of war. Hucha is dense, it's heavy, it's thick and sticky, it settles, collects in our energy field. It stresses our energy system to the point of dysfunction, and it leaves us energetically unwell. Emotionally, psychologically, spiritually unwell. To the Karo wisdom keeper, it's perfectly clear. If all that is energy, then the game itself must be one of energy. And there must be a system, and there must be a methodology to navigate within that system so as to maximize the resource and benefit being unconditionally offered to us all the time from the Creator and from the Pachamama. And after all, it's the system we come from. So for the sake of time, it looks like this. We each come as energetic and spiritual beings into this physical manifestation with a highly functional and intact energy system, exquisitely designed to allow us to continue to connect with a higher frequency, high vibrational, and infinite resource. And we can do that even though we have just experienced a transition into a much denser form. If we can reconnect with our own energy system, rehabilitate it, and learn how to use it properly, we can learn how to play the energy game in a way that brings benefit to ourselves and to our loved ones. And we do that through this very simple formula: acquisition, maintenance, and investment. So first, acquisition. We learn to acquire high vibrational energy, sami, from an infinite and ubiquitous source and store it in our energy body. Then we maintenance that energy to ensure that it's free of hucha. Remember hucha? Only created between us. That low frequency, dense energy that accumulates through domestication and interaction with other people. And we do this maintenancing process for a very specific reason. And that reason is called sympathetic resonance. Sympathetic resonance is like the law of attraction. You know that one, like attracts like. Sympathetic resonance says like energy activates like energy. And the best way I can illustrate this is if I take two guitars and I tune them to each other, set them across the room from each other, and then I pluck one string on one guitar, the energy of that in the form of a sound wave will travel invisibly through space, striking the face of the other guitar. And guess what happens over there? That same string starts to vibrate on that second. I didn't have to touch it. That, my friends, is a law of the energetic universe that you live in. You see where I'm going with this? We can use that law, cause and effect, to control the outcome of circumstances. So that when the time comes to invest our energy, we contribute only high frequency sami energy, so that my reality is now full of freshly activated high vibrational energy. It's the exact same energy that I just used to invest in it. And if we can learn to invest that energy wisely and with discernment, we can use physical laws to create a reality that is more likely to bend toward our will. Yeah. Now these two philosophies, Toltec and Andean, begin to link with each other. Through engagement with these two sources of ancestral wisdom and the reintegration of these two streams of ancestral knowledge into our way of perceiving the world and the reality around us, we can learn to command our own energy systems, maintain that energy, and invest that energy only when we can see clearly through a perceptual lens that's clear and free from all the stories about ourselves and our past and our identities. We see the truth in ourselves and in our circumstances, and then we invest accordingly. I'm not saying you can control the weather or that you're going to win the lottery this way, but if we do it like this, we are laying the groundwork for and creating the conditions under which reality as I want it to be is far more likely to unfold. The merging of two worldviews. The Toltec way of the eagle, far-seeing, rational, linear structure, and the Andean way of the condor, earth, connected, intuitive, wise, receptive. This idea is beginning to take hold and flourish. Just as the ancient prophecy proclaimed it would be, and it's happening right now, and you and I are a part of the fulfillment of that ancient prophecy. In our organization, Vajra, we work and teach from this foundation, this merging of worldviews. Vajra, it means bright life. And we named it this because this is what we saw happening in our community and with our students. Through proper application of this ancient wisdom, we see extraordinary evolution. We see happier people leading happier lives, more fulfilling lives, lives rooted in purpose. Their purpose is to create reality so that you and the Creator can occupy that reality, expand into that reality, the reality that you create. And you are designed to be excellent at this. So I will end where we began, and I'll leave you with this statement. You are far more powerful than you had previously imagined. Bless you.